after yesterday's budget summit 2.0, don't know exactly when they'll regather again, so if there's any update on that, we know. But we've really got about 3 weeks left before the constitutionally mandated adjournment of May 31st. If they want to trust and verify, they got to get out by May 24th. There's some statements that Speaker McCall made that he believes your mandated word about what you will or will not veto. So have you had any conversations with legislative leaders about will you commit to not using the line item veto if they get an agreement? If they get a tax cut, will you do that? And if they don't get a tax cut, are you looking at bringing them back in June for special session?
Well, you know, it's hard to comment on what I will or won't sign until I see that. I'm very encouraged. We're all talking about transparency, and as you were in there in the meeting the whole time, they were also talking about revenue and how much revenue do we have, and we were even talking about some tax cuts, which was very encouraging. But let me just be really clear with Oklahomans. The legislature has a tough job. They've got to try to prioritize what funding goes into what buckets. But the big picture, if you step back, okay, and you think about this is what I've reminded people. My big 3 priorities: number 1, don't increase expenses more than our income. Okay, I think most people understand that. What is your income? We need to spend around our income or a little bit less, right? So that's one thing. And then we have to have a rainy day or a savings account. Okay, so I'm saying let's make sure we keep around a $5 billion savings account. That's a lot of money, but we also spend $22 billion. And most people would tell you need a certain percentage or maybe 6 months of your income in a rainy day type of account. I've looked at all previous recessions, and if we have this $5 billion, we should never have to cut a core services, even if we had a downturn in revenue or we had some kind of revenue failure in the future. So those 2 things are very, very important. The third thing is if we can spend, and right now they're both chambers are talking about, and if you were in there, I haven't added up all the spending items, but what's interesting is if you go line by line and you go, hey, well, this is a good program, let's spend this more money, and this is a good program, let's fund this more money. If you go line by line, that's how you just get this excessive budgets. You have to start with how much are we going to spend, and then you can figure out how to prioritize. You can't just go every single program and be Santa Claus to every single different program. And so if we can spend $1.5 billion in savings, and that's kind of what's on the table, then we certainly can do a $200 or $300 million tax cut for Oklahomans. Okay, and those are my points. And if a budget has those tax cuts in there, we have the savings, and we keep our expenses around where our revenue is, then I'm perfectly fine with that budget. I mean, yeah, listen, if we don't get a budget by May 31st, there'll have to be a special session. And I'm here every single day. So everybody else wants to get out of here on May 31st, and constitutionally, we have to write a budget, right? We need a budget because the fiscal year starts July 1st. So we need to get this done. And that's why I brought everybody together, and I'm, optimistic about the progress. But really, Oklahomans, be engaged in this process. Know what your representatives are doing and how they're spending your tax dollars. That's really, really important to hold your elected officials accountable.